Walk on, Nyan. Walk on. All right. Let me see your hand movement right here. Very bold quantum weekend. But I'm having a serious conversation here today. A serious conversation that would have certainly many of us been stopped. But I want to start by asking you a question. Suppose someone came into your home and took something of value and went out on the international market and sold it and made money. How would you feel? You'd feel bad. You'd feel terrible. And you'd feel upset. Well, this happened to me about 10 years ago when I worked for the government. And across my desk came a document to sign for a visa waiver. Because there's this group from the UK that was coming into Jamaica to make a film. And they were making a film about a little crab this size, just about an inch. Sansama Windsor is the scientific name of the crab. And I was upset because I'm so used to people coming from other countries to take away our wealth. Now they've gone with me like a crab. How many of you here are from Jamaica? Woohoo! How many here are from the Caribbean? How many of you here understand what it is to have the resources of your country raped, taken away, and exploited? So I felt bad. And my mission thereafter, for the next couple of years that I worked in that government agency, was to do the speeches. And whenever I had a speech to do regarding the creative industries, I had one single solitary message. Write your stories. Make films about your stories. Don't let other people come and take the value. You write your own stories. Yes? Make films about our own stories. And I got thunderous applause wherever I gave that speech. But friends, I'm here to tell you, you're looking at a fake. Yeah, I'm a fake. Because I go around whipping up people, getting them to write their stories, make their films, do their books. But what have I done? Have I written any books? And you see, I certainly could. This gray hair was not made by a commercially prepared dye. It comes from a life lived well and lived hard. You see, I'm the father of 3 lovely boys. They're all now adults. And 2 months ago, I became a certified grandfather. Thank you. Yes? I have visited 42 countries, spoken in more than half. I've addressed sheiks in Dubai on more than one occasion. I've had my sailboat sink with me on it in 80 feet of water to be rescued by the Coast Guard. I coach companies and businesses and so forth. So there's a lot of opportunities that I've had to write my stories, several stories, but I haven't. And one day I sat and did my own reflection. And you see, I'm a landmark education trained person. And in that reflection, it told me that what I've made for myself, that view I've made for myself, that story I've created about myself was simply this. I am not good enough. I'm not good enough. Is there anybody else that has this story about their life? Just raise your hands. Raise your hands. And this is a safe space. We can be authentic and real about each other, with each other. How many of us have really recognized that we're not good enough? And you see, this follows me throughout so many areas of my life. Not just in writing a book, how many of us have chosen someone, not who we think is the best, but who we think perhaps will choose us? That happens from time to time. But in my particular case, I chose a university degree. I had my qualifications to enter the university, but I chose that degree because I felt this is what they would accept me. So not because of the one that I really wanted to do, because I had the qualification. I just thought, I was not good enough. I don't know how I got those exams, how I passed those, but, they're going to find me out. They're going to find me out. And this certainly has been the story that I've lived my life. And do you all have your own story? Just raise your hand if you have similar stories like that. May not be as extreme, it may be more extreme, but it's a reality. And you may say, but okay, so I've spoken here, I've spoken there. Can I just take my notes and create a book? Aha, but let me tell you something. If I make a mistake with grammar here, you may forget it by the time the next speaker comes up. But you see, a book is permanent. Yeah? Do you agree with me? A book is permanent. That is your legacy. That is what you will leave after you've gone. So I'm not going to take that chance with my bad grammar and the other things. So I continue to play small. And I want to give you an example how real this is. So when blog just started to come out, I said, yeah, great, I'm going to have my blog. And it's about putting your fears about public speaking to rest. I even went into a graveyard with a shovel, and I took a photo, so it's really nice. And I did one post, I did a second post, I did a third post. And then somebody who was not really a friend, but in Jamaica we have this thing called bad mind and grudgeful. So I have a blog, he doesn't have a blog. So what did he say to me? Robert, you have a grammatical error on your blog. Now, I know he's no friend of mine. Yes? And I know the amount of views were quite a bit. But that stopped me. See, that's proof. In only 3 blogs, they found out that I'm a fake. Only 3. They found out that I'm a fake. So what did I do? I've not even looked back on it since. And that was years ago. So this just shows the human condition. Now, as I mentioned, landmark education, one of the things in their teachings, they say that our identity is created between 5 and 11 years of age. And certain events in your life, you put meaning to it. So what happened at 5, you make a decision that the world may be cold and lonely, so therefore you become an introvert. And there are many other things. And even shows up when there's abuse, person has gone through abuse, how it affects them later in their life. So what you have then is you have internalized something that your 5-year-old mind interprets, and that now becomes your guide, your story, how you lead your life. So what it means then, and even now, at 59 and a half years old, it's that little 5-year-old boy, driving around, leading my life. And therefore, at some point in 5 years old, I made a decision that I wasn't good enough. And that has propelled my life throughout. The same thing has to do with money, and I maybe just segue a little bit to talk about our views on money. Similarly, in those early stages, we make a decision, certainly informed by our environment and our family. And I remember the exact moment when I was 7.5 years old, sitting around the dining table with my mother and father. And they didn't usually share issues, but there was a financial crisis at the time. And I heard. And I made a recommendation. I said, Dad, you have a nice Morris Oxford. You can turn that into a taxi. And Mom, you can put on old clothes and you can go stand up outside the supermarket and beg. Now, they nearly run me out of the house when I made those suggestions. But it just shows that at that point in time, I internalized those views. And what it meant for me is that I made a decision that life is hard. Money is hard to come by. And even now, if there's any disempowering conversation in my life, it's about money. And I'm sharing this with you, and I'm going to a particular destination, but to pointing out is that it is our past that is controlling our present. And if we are not careful, it will define our future. So with those stories that I have, I really want to point out there is a way that we can make a change, because we are all disempowered. But I am right now going to light a spark. I am going to light a spark, and I hope you will absorb that spark, not get burnt, but take that spark and apply it where you need to in your own life, and especially in relation to creating that book, that next book. Now, the first element of the spark. Well, let me ask, are you willing to begin this journey with me, everyone? Do you want to have that spark? Let me see you do your lighter, you know. Okay, your lighter. I'm old school, you know, but I love these. I love these. All right, fantastic. So the first thing in the S in the spark is you need to do a self-assessment. Because this whole thing you're talking about not being good enough, another way to speak it is really about an imposter syndrome. So what you need to do is to start to confront the facts. And in that self-assessment, you want to find out, or you want to declare to yourself, what really is it that you can write about. Now, I have not finished my book, so I can't stand here and talk about being an author. I leave that to you good folks. But what I can talk about is the challenges, or what to do to overcome. Similarly, I can't write a book or speak on anything about rocket science. It's something I totally am unaware of. So as you sit to write your book and to craft that element of your life, you want to do a self-assessment of what it is that you're really strong and knowledgeable on. Let us say leadership. One of the problems I have, I never send any of my staff to a leadership course. Because that's vague. That is extremely vague. But if you're talking about becoming a new manager, becoming a new supervisor, or financial implications of being a leader, then those I would send persons to. So I would like us to think that we want to be as specific, not for your audience. It's not a marketing discussion. It's about yourself. What is it that I am competent to really create this book around? So that self-assessment is the start of the spark, knowing exactly what you're good at. One of the things I do is transitional coaching. Somebody who is 50 odd years old, they're going to believe how do they create something in their life? That's something that we can work on. The book that I'm working on is developing gravitas and improving your executive presence. Right? Now, knowing that I have the skill set, knowing that I have the knowledge, and I'm not waiting for perfection, but I'm going to start. Okay? So that's this. Everybody got the S? Do your self-assessment. Then the next, and perhaps maybe the most important of them all, is the P. And it's not about passion. Yes? It's not about passion. Because passion will dissipate. But it's really about your purpose. You see, when I first started to write that book or another book when I was 20 years old, it was about ego. Oh, I want to be the first one of all my friends to have a book. Yes? So I started. And how long did it last? Yeah, I went a few pages. But I didn't go 30%. Those breaks were drawn. Not only because of the little boy, but the purpose wasn't wholesome. It was about ego. It was about looking better amongst my friends. Yes? So we recognize then that the real driver, what really keeps you going, is that purpose. What is that purpose? So the first book had no real purpose, so it actually went nowhere. But the book that I'm writing now, Developing Gravitas and Boosting Your Executive Presence, it's what I see every day. What I see is when I interview persons for a leadership positions or pretty much any positions in the organization, what I see on the resume is not who I see in front of me. Totally different people. Sometimes I have to look back on the resume. I'm not being judgmental, but it's just a reality. He got the interview because of a wonderful resume, perhaps prepared by AI or some consultant. So I got the perfect resume for the job. But I got someone who wasn't an ideal fit. That's one. The other thing, too, is that individuals in the technical level, so like each year almost I have to look for a plant manager. And the person will have the technical skills, but not the leadership skills. So they can fix anything. But can they get the staff to fix the things? Yes? Can I send them to represent the organization? I can't. Then other times, no, I want to promote someone. I want to give them a role in export or in somewhere else. But they just don't have the presence. And the boards that I sit on, sometimes they say, okay, let's promote that person. Everybody at the board says, not him. Him not ready yet. Him not ready yet. So I recognize in our professional era within the country, there is a gap in persons having that executive presence. They may be having the technical skills to do the job, but can they do the job? And because of this, it has inspired me to write, because I know it is solving a problem in my country. It is doing some good. And I've done a number of presentations. It's actually a presentation that I've been turned into a book, because I've done presentations for overseas. I sit on a few committees all about preparing our people. So that's the passion that drives me. And even if I'm writing slower than I should, there's a passion there. So everybody say a passion. Do you have the passion for what you're about? And if you don't, develop it. So S.P.A. Having clarity on what I want to achieve, knowing that I've never written a book before, the A speaks to not only action, but more importantly, assistance. It was last year that I stood up at the Blue meeting and declared that I'm going to be writing my book. Thank you, Dr. Denise. You are that spark for me. But it was very clear when I started to interact with you and other members of the team, just write book on you, go publish it. So there is a certain way that it has to be done. And I couldn't do it alone. I could be like friends who, they created a book and they've had it for 3, 4, 5 years and say, how many books is sold already? 10. Yeah? We've seen that happen so often. They've had it, but they don't have, Amazon best list. What is that? They don't have a clue. So the assistance is critical. And I know I don't have to say too much about that, because I am preaching to the converted, and you all are here. And then after that, S.P.A.R., you have to respect the process. What's the point of getting the assistance if you do nothing with it? If you don't respect the process? I could have made millions had I been following Denise's guidance on the elite C-suite, yes? But I hadn't followed through with the integrity. So it's very clear that once you have that track that's been set for you, you have to follow it, because it's tried and proven. How many in this room are authors, are bold publishing authors? Okay. They have followed the track. and they've been led to success. So it's very, very important. And then the last point, which is very, very critical, is a K, and that speaks to know yourself. And knowing yourself is different from the self-assessment that I spoke of. This is understanding how you have to move, knowing that it's a 5-year-old that's controlling you. And I like to tell people that whenever I do a workshop, I always include element of mindfulness. Why? You learn a technique, and when you are faced with a situation, the only time you remember the technique is after the situation. Oh, I coulda, woulda, shoulda. I should have done that. I should have said that. So it's very critical for you to go through the process of understanding mindfulness. And let me give up, for instance, in my case, because I have 35 years experience in what I do, when somebody challenges me, what happens? I feel my blood pressure going up. I'm serious. I start to blow short. Right? And I tend to almost want to lash out to show my experience. Now, of course, that does make me a lot of friends in a lot of spaces. But when I've changed and I started to recognize what it is that is driving me and how I should respond, because I practice mindfulness, I'm now aware when I feel the tightness, when I start to blow short, and then I say, stop, don't say that. Say this instead. And this is what powers me and get me through. And I've had a problem with a former financial controller of my organization because of the very same thing. And we are always like this. And when I started to operate that way, you know what happened? The relationship significantly improved. So ladies and gentlemen, we spoke about that spark, having that self-assessment, driven by the purpose, not the passion, but the purpose. S.P.A.R.K. Seek assistance, and whatever the assistance tells you, especially from Bold Publishing, you follow that, you respect that assistance. And then the K is really know yourself and know how to challenge yourself. And friends, I'd like to close with a quote, my favorite quote by Marianne Williamson. And this was actually used by Nelson Mandela in 1994, his commencement address when he became the president of South Africa. And I'm going to say it, and I'm going to ask you to say it with me. Just repeat after me. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are more powerful. Powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frighten us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant? Gorgeous. Talented. Fabulous. Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We're all meant to shine. As children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us. It's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. May I wish for you a wonderful time here in Congress weekend, and that all the things you take away, you apply in your life.
And we become bigger, better, and we start to shine so brightly.